It is September 5th, 2018. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Justin LaBar. Going to talk about SmackDown Live for September 4th, 2018. Justin, how's it going, man?
It's going well. How are you?
Doing well, man. So, SmackDown last night, and shortly before that went on the air, we got the announcement that Mixed Match Challenge is coming back to Facebook Live for Season 2. They announced a bunch of teams. We're saying off the air, I thought maybe they would do this again, but certainly not this soon.
Yeah, I don't even know how many months it's been, but I know it's obviously it's not even, we have not going around the calendar. So I thought they'd do it again. Why not? It doesn't really cost them anything extra. It's just you already have people in the building, you already have the talent there. It gets them activity on social media, which is very key these days. So it certainly seemed like something to do again, and they put the charity tag with it of the teams playing for charitable cause. So or playing, fighting. But yeah, this soon, and like we were talking about before we started recording, just kind of out of nowhere, no hint of it, no whispers of it, which at this day and age and WWE, it's very hard to not have.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time they announced something that it wasn't? Oh, well, there were rumors about this. They were talking about this.
Right. Yeah,
sources speculated.
Right, yeah. Everybody has a source that has something, but no source that I hear about Mixed Match Challenge starting in the fall.
Yeah, so we'll see. They announced a bunch of the teams. Kevin Owens and Natalya I thought was interesting. No Becky Lynch this time, though.
No Becky Lynch. What was another one? Sasha and Bobby Lashley, I believe.
Finn and Bayley.
Just given the just giving everybody kind of like I think the general review is Sasha not being used to the fullest, or what is she doing, or what's the stuff going on with Bayley, and then Bobby Lashley, who was sitting doing yoga and meditating and trying to be funny with Jinder Mahal. It's just so it's the pairings of how they decide on some of these is I don't know if they're throwing darts on the wall or where the logic is at. But
continuing building off of SmackDown's hottest storyline, R-Truth and Carmella are teaming together for the Mixed Match Challenge.
We talked about him earlier this summer when he started resurfacing again on SmackDown. You just got to give it to R-Truth, the longevity of this guy. This guy, he's done so many ridiculous things, but usually they're so ridiculous that they stick and they work, or at least for the time period that they're pushed for. So, and now he's catching on once again with his infatuation with wanting to have a shot at Carmella.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not being sarcastic when I say SmackDown's hottest storyline. Like, even in my household here, it was kind of like, oh, where's this going? This is interesting. That whole thing last night with Truth getting in the main event, that was really, really good. R-Truth is a gem, and the WWE should never let him retire.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's a, because there's no real criteria. It's all about, relationship with the company. And again, it's like booking a show. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer in some future class, but
he has to be, right?
I guess, it's just, but you look at his highlight reel, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about it, but last night I thought that was fantastic. R-Truth in the main event of SmackDown Live. He's gotten what was the other match he did just a month or two ago? He had another surprisingly impressive match, didn't he?
Because I remember what we were talking about. I can't remember who it was against, but I remember that's where we brought it up. Yeah,
man, it's funny. I mean, for a guy at his level, in the way that they book his matches and his feuds, he's still getting stuff, still getting placement. Never fully goes away, and they come back and they always use him in a good capacity, at least in these recent years. But let's go segment by segment, talk about the show last night. Opened with Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella coming to the ring, and there was a bit of interaction with a pre-taped segment between The Miz and Maurice. They are really, really trying to build this and keep the heat going with the couples. How do you think this compares to what they did for Daniel and The Miz one-on-one at SummerSlam?
Well, obviously, Daniel and The Miz, it felt a lot more real, because of such history they have, and because they really are, their characters are really truly the extensions of Mike Mizanin and Bryan Danielson. Obviously, this has a little bit more of a force feeling with the couples, and it's definitely you definitely feel like, okay, it's pushing reality shows, it's pushing some other agenda, so it's a little bit more, traditional pro wrestling and storyline, but we haven't ever seen this combination of these two couples in the ring, and they've done a decent job of having the interaction with them physically, but also still leaving something to be desired for the match, I suppose. So I don't hate it. I think we've seen WWE do worse when they try to bring couples into it. So this is definitely not the worst.
And then Zelina Vega and Andrade Cien Almas came out, interrupted the end of that segment with Daniel and Brie in the ring, leading to a one-on-one match, another match between Daniel Bryan and Andrade Cien Almas. What did you think of this?
Another great match. I think I tweeted it last night. When Bryan, when the medical disqualification got lifted and he became active again earlier this year, there was so many dream matches that were being drawn up of now we can see him in the WWE ring against AJ Styles, against Samoa Joe, against all these names. And I'm sure some people out there, but by and large, Bryan versus Almas was not leading the way of conversations and chat rooms. And boy, they're proving that it should be, because the matches we've seen of these two these last few weeks, every time just match of the week in terms of what's on Raw and SmackDown.
No, I thought it was really, really good last night, and that storyline continued throughout the evening. After that, we had The Miz and Maurice. They were at an Italian restaurant, so Brie and Daniel were going. That's why that was funny. That they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to get some food. We're going to a restaurant," and they're wearing Daniel's still wearing his trunks, going out in his ring gear.
Well, he made a mention about the dress code, so at least he acknowledged
how ridiculous it was. Yeah,
that was probably not on the script. I can imagine that was Bryan saying that himself, just because he felt like he had to address it because he knew how ridiculous it was.
Oh, absolutely. Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch remotely, not face to face, but on camera with each other, talking trash, setting up their match for Hell in a Cell. What'd you think? What'd you think of this promo and the way they're tweaking it a bit? Becky is not straight heel anymore, it feels like.
Well, yeah, this was, and I was pretty big since SummerSlam. I've been pretty big about, we've talked about, okay, Becky's being put to the heel, but the fans aren't buying that. This was the best week. Actually, I will say each week since the initial turn at SummerSlam, each week has gotten better. I like this. I like the fact that obviously they're in the same building. Obviously, they can hear each other real time, which is good. It does keep from any true delay you might have if you were in separate locations or on satellite or whatever the case may be. I thought the interaction was great. I liked the fact that Tom Phillips opened it up, but then he just let them go at it basically, and it wasn't like this. It wasn't like he had to be a moderator. I thought the two of them, it felt pretty natural. I mean, obviously there were some bullet points they're hitting on the script, but it felt, by the way, especially Bone Becky's end, by the way, there would be little interruptions and just little quick comments that'll be tossed in there. It truly felt like a verbal back and forth. And Becky, the face and that she was making and everything. I mean, I did buy into it, and yeah, you could hear the crowd react to some of what they were saying, and it does feel like, at least it's hard to tell because they weren't out in front of the crowd in the ring, but at least this did feel more so like, okay, WWE might let this just develop itself and breathe and not try to micromanage it. And
they got a dark match last night. I believe that also involved Carmella, which is cool. I love this feud. I can't believe, so this match is not announced for the Cell right now at Hell in a Cell.
No, I don't think it is. No.
How can there be a women's match at Hell in a Cell that does not involve these two?
I don't know what the factors are that have led to that, or what even the factors necessarily led to the across the board deciding what's going to go in the Cell and what's not. But yeah, I'm more interested in this now than I was. I'm less upset about it. I'm actually now genuinely interested to see where this goes, because Becky Lynch is straight fire, pun intended, and the fans, she's getting this kind of reaction from the fans that just, again, I don't like using these Stone Cold comparisons and all that. Although Stone Cold did comment on it recently, I know the quotes can be found on Wrestling Inc. But this is always fun when you get somebody who has an organic rise and gravitate, and just the audience gravitates to him, much like Braun Strowman did. But of course, they just turned him heel. So,
speaking of organic rises, the sponsor of today's episode, no. Kidding. I
was gonna say that would have been great. You should have just ran with it. Just gave him an extra.
No, but for people, for all the fans out there, Blue Chew will probably be back this coming Monday on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Stay tuned for that. Yeah, so I looked at last year, and last year the Hell in a Cell, it was SmackDown only last year, but it was the Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon, and then the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. That great match between the Usos and the New Day was last year.
Yeah, so I know I've heard that this is that we have Orton and Hardy in a cell, which I know we'll get to in a second. I know I've heard that's they've never had Hardy, which they focused on last night. They've never had Hardy in a cell, so that he's wanted to do a cell match before his career's over. So I guess again, there's all kinds of factors that go into this. So why not Becky and Charlotte? It could be anything from you don't want it because it's right before Evolution. I don't know. I'm not sure why, but it certainly. But by the intensity that it has, it certainly feels like one that should be in the cell.
Well, you know what? I have this hole in my knowledge right now as I'm thinking about it, because I was on vacation Hell in a Cell 2016 when we got Sasha versus Charlotte. I think I watched part of that match online, but how was that received? Might there be a reason why they said, hey, you know what, we're not going to do the women in Hell in a Cell again?
Maybe. I don't remember. I don't recall there being any, major backlash that I can think of.
Not backlash, but just maybe something about it wasn't as well received comparatively, or.
I honestly don't remember. And it's hard too, because it's in the last year or so. There's been so many milestone matches for the women. I don't recall, but I'm sure somebody watching this might correct me. They might say, "Oh, it was a garbage fire." I don't know.
No, I remember at the time reading. It was a good match. I think there were some big spots in it. But granted, a Sasha and Charlotte match is always going to have that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Becky and Charlotte regardless. This is why I am tuning into Hell in a Cell this year. This is my match of the night. Most looking forward to. They did plug, yes, Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton. We'll talk about that in a few moments. But then after that promo, we had Naomi versus Peyton Royce, and Naomi organically got the win without any assistance, but when there was going to be a beatdown after, Asuka came out to rescue Naomi, and they have announced it will be Asuka and Naomi versus the Iconics at the WWE show in Australia coming up in a few weeks. So what did you think of this match last night and Naomi picking up the win?
Well, I guess she needed a win, so I guess okay to give it to her, and then obviously have her be threatened by the numbers game after the fact. I know we've been wondering who was going to come to the aid of Naomi. I know Asuka was a name tossed out there, but I couldn't think of anybody. I couldn't make a bet on anybody. I know Asuka came up in the conversation. What I find odd here is that you have Naomi, who is a very just natural babyface, and the gimmick is just natural babyface gimmick, and she is over as such. And then you have Asuka, who is booked. When she is booked, is booked as a babyface. And so you're putting them together, but then you're going to have them go up against the home country girls in Australia. So I'll be curious to see what WWE is expecting and how they plot that match out at that show in Australia. Of okay, are they just going to are the Iconics just going to play the home country girls, or are they going to try their best to get heat? Or I'll be very interested to see how that's going to go down. Who
were the local wrestlers, or were there any native to Australia or New Zealand wrestlers on the last time the WWE was in Australia?
I don't know if the WWE's roster had any the last time. I don't think. Not that I can.
No, I'm just curious. Yeah, what the reaction is going to be.
I'm trying to think of Australia. Wasn't Nathan Jones from Australia? He's years ago. I'm trying to think of guys from Australia that have worked in WWE. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I wonder if the average Australian wrestling fan is a huge Iconics fan because of that.
I'd have to imagine Australia's going to cheer big for the very fact of what I just said. It's not like they regularly have talent from they don't get WWE regularly in the first place because they're where they're located. And it's not like they regularly have somebody they can claim as their own that made it, that's on WWE television. So I have to think that when these girls come out, that they're gonna announce where they're from and the place is gonna go crazy. I have to think that they're just gonna have to accept that Naomi and Asuka are just gonna have to be the heels in this situation for a night.
Yeah, we'll see. Thought that was cool with Asuka. I don't know if you've been paying attention to Naomi's Twitter, but talk about continuing the story. I think she was tweeting at, just about everyone, even Cameron, former WWE women's wrestler, just asking people to like partner up with her. I thought Asuka was an interesting reveal, but yeah, I'll just have to see what they do storyline with this to actually give it more of a story.
I mean, from a visual standpoint, Asuka dresses.
Cool.
Asuka's very colorful. Hair is colorful. She's got a colorful entrance and attire and everything. Obviously, Naomi's all about the glow deal. So, I mean, from a visual standpoint, it works. I, we don't hear Asuka speak much, so I'm not really sure.
True.
How you talk. I don't know how you talk around this. So it's. I mean. It's random. Asuka came out and they put on the graphic, her accolade, Royal Rumble winner. And it's just like, for a minute, I was like, oh my gosh, she was a Royal Rumble winner. And here we are 9 months later, and she couldn't be more, she couldn't be any further down really of the lineup of things.
Yeah. After that, we had Paige telling The Miz backstage that he was going to have a match later that night against really whoever wanted to face him. R-Truth approached Maurice thinking that it was Carmella. The Miz and Truth had words. And later R-Truth would talk to Carmella and set up that she was going to be ringside with him while R-Truth took on The Miz, getting him a match in the main event of SmackDown Live. Really cool. We'll talk about that. But we had Samoa Joe out in the ring with the Wendy yell. Like, where's the merch? Where's the Samoa Joe Wendy merch at this point? Taunting AJ Styles. They keep building this up. What did you think of this chapter of the Samoa Joe AJ Styles rivalry last night?
I literally laughed out loud when the first thing out of his mouth and this like ogre voice was Wendy.
Yeah.
And I want to laugh, and I'm laughing, and I'm laughing at this, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to be laughing because the context is he's like trying to stalk and whatever this guy's wife. But it was, I don't know, I found it really comical. Good promo, good, obviously, good job making people think that AJ wasn't going to be there just by the way Joe kept talking, and then of course the reveal that AJ is there. That usually amplifies the pop even greater, and AJ's pop usually is already great enough. So good by there. Again, another real personal, intense kind of feud and rivalry. It's nice, as we've talked about many times. It's nice to see some. Samoa Joe still said, I'm going to take your daddy's championships, and he's going to be at home a lot more. I mean, it's still about the title, as it should be, because AJ's champion. But I like the fact that it's less of just straight, I'm the best here, somebody try to take me down. I like the fact that AJ's got something that's got a lot more depth to it.
Yeah, I mean, this has real stakes. We talk about a lot how sort of banal these feuds are over the idea. You think you're the best, I'm the best. Bam. 6 months. That's your storyline. Yeah. I'm just waiting for the tape segment of Samoa Joe at AJ's house, So
yeah, that's what we keep waiting for. I mean, I guess maybe that's the go home episode of SmackDown before Hell in a Cell. Maybe that's what they hold that.
Oh yeah. They're gonna meet in the ring, sign the contract, and then Samoa Joe's at AJ's.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't show up to sign the contract, and he's there, peeking outside the
window. I was gonna say in there tucking the kids into bed, wearing a robe, smoking a pipe.
He's got a smoking jacket and a pipe, walking around like a Samoan Hugh Hefner.
Absolutely. Why not at this point, No, this is cool. This feud is cool. I'm loving where it's going. I think this could be a great match. Do you think it ends with Samoa Joe winning the title, though?
No. Like we said prior to SummerSlam, I don't see Styles losing this until 2019. Losing the title, that is.
This feels like the most Attitude Era storyline currently in the WWE.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's anytime you're dealing with the family, and I mean, it borders like, it borders some real kind of sense. I mean, they have not language wise got there, but without having to say a tone, is this guy's talking about breaking into a guy's house and being and having his way with the guy's wife and making the kids respect him. I mean, there's a lot of dark stuff here. That I mean, obviously they're not going that far. They're staying within the PG, reigns. But yeah, I mean, it's very additive. I mean, it's very. I think we brought up Pillman and Austin. It's anytime you're dealing with somebody talking about I'm going to go to your house and they break that fourth wall in a way and start using wives' names and kids' names and the wives and kids legitimately appear on screen. Anytime you do that, of course, it feels very attitude. It feels very mix of geriatric of Jerry Springer to serious like Dateline. This guy's coming to steal us all.
Yeah, and this feels like such a Vince McMahon storyline. I'm surprised it's on SmackDown. I'm surprised he didn't give this to someone on Raw.
Well, I mean, maybe it's only a matter of time until Braun Strowman and his new two best friends abduct Roman Reigns' daughter.
Yeah, seriously. The Usos versus Sanity versus Rusev Day determine who is going to go on to face the Bar to determine the new #1 tag team contenders. This triple threat tag team match last night. Well, I guess technically, is it a triple threat tag team? A three-way tag team. Yeah. With Rusev Day picking up the win with Eric Young getting pinned after Rusev dropped him with a Machka kick. What did you think of this match? And Rusev Day getting a bit of a resurrection and a push here.
Yeah, I've said before, I like these kind of matches. I like it when you mix it up, and it just the dynamic is so fun. And for guys, when for guys to lay these kind of matches out, it's very fun. There's a lot of options to do. Yeah, it looks like Rusev Day is getting a resurrection. They were my pick last week when I was thinking about it, and why not? Let's follow through. WWE, if they've done the merch, they've kept it going this long. They're finally at least committed to letting them be booked as faces. So. I mean, to me, I don't want to get everybody's hopes up, but all signs point towards Rusev Day could be taking some tag team gold here sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're over without it, but I think there's something about that solidifying of a performer that just comes with getting the championship, even if it's not them holding it for a particularly long time. I think after that, they have more of a lift if they go back, to not having it afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, there's some truth certainly in situations of they don't need it, meaning it being a title. That is a case, and that's a case. That's a case for a character or an act that is, like the New Day doesn't need it. They're at that point, but
absolutely,
Rusev and Aiden English and Lana, all three, really, if you think about it, all three have had stop and go careers. Now Aiden's didn't get as go as Aiden hasn't got as far as Rusev's work seen at WrestleMania, and he's had world title matches. I mean, Aiden English didn't get that far. He kind of fell into this once his tag team got broken up because his partner got fired. But even Lana start and stop. So all three have had such a start and stop that this is a case where they do need the title, because the title, obviously, as we all know in wrestling, means an investment the company's making. So if they get the tag titles, that's WWE saying, we're at least sticking with them for some amount of time, or we at least believe in this, or what have you. So absolutely, they need the titles in this situation. That's going to prove that this is around for the long haul, or there's some master plan of a heel turn or something. But that means that these three are going to continue getting regularly booked. It's not going to just if they lose if they lose and don't get the titles, then you get a little worried, because you're like, okay, well, this could be relegated back to being a dark match kind of thing, or they'll just go a different direction. But if they win the titles, that's a good sign.
Well, and people are pointing out that for the Super Showdown in Australia, they have already announced the Bar versus the New Day for the SmackDown tag team titles. But hey, card subject to change,
Yeah. I mean, I actually wouldn't, obviously with these big novelty shows, obviously they're going to make sure, the Taker, Triple H, and the big marquee matches are going to be announced way out ahead of time. But for something like this, for something that's lower on the card in the grand scheme of things, I think they could easily alter that. I think as long as the New Day still appears, as long as the Bar still, as long as these people still appear, so that way, because I think as long as they still have an appearance to that live crowd, you're fine. I think you can certainly adjust. And if there's going to be a card subject to change, make it a card subject where an act that's so over like the Rusev Day is getting added into it.
Yeah, maybe it gets made a triple threat,
Right. So, yeah, I think as long as, card subject to change, I think as long as, again, when you're dealing with shows where people are traveling this far for the talent, and it's such a novelty, again, for the people in Australia, because they don't get WWE like here in Pittsburgh, WWE and NXT comes through 2 or 3 times this year. So I think as long as everybody that's being advertised still appears in some capacity, I think shuffling the matches so it's storyline continuity is there. I think it's fine.
Yeah. The Miz versus R-Truth last night in the main event. R-Truth winning the main event of SmackDown Live. This match, man, lots of back and forth, then interference. I mean, we had Zelina Vega, Andrade out there. We had the Miz and Maurice looking on out there, and pardon me, in the brawl that happened after. But during, man, R-Truth and the Miz, this was a competitive match. This went for a while. R-Truth took advantage of a distraction to roll up the Miz for a win. And then after Zelina and Andrade were out there, we went off the air with them both in yes locks given by Bree and Daniel. So they're keeping them in this feud. I mean, do you think they're going to... I don't think they're going to be added to the match, but do you see them interfering at Hell in a Cell, and that's how we get another chapter in this without a clean win?
Possibly. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be added to the match, but possibly. I mean, again, you have these 3 different. I know Almas and Vega are not a couple from the romantic standpoint, but they're pairing. So you have these 3 couple/pairs of guy and girl, and so might as well utilize them if you have them all in the same brand to be able to do mixed matches and such. So yeah, I could certainly see some outside interference that lets this go on and adds a chapter. Maybe then it does go to a triple threat, or maybe this is a bigger build to, okay, you have Almas and Vega and Miz and Maurice, and now Brian and Bree need to find Rusev and Lana, and now we have a big 8-man, or maybe we're built to Survivor Series. I mean, there's so many ways you can go about it. Excuse me. But yeah, and back to the R-Truth match real quick. I mean, I think this was smart booking. This was intelligent stuff. I mean, the Miz, it's competitive. It shows, okay, the Miz only lost because it was a distraction, so it still keeps the Miz. It still reminds you the Miz is higher on the totem pole than R-Truth. There's a reason why the Miz is up here and in the match as he is. But it's good because if Truth's back and they want to use him, it gives him a little boost of credibility. Not that he's going to be making any big title runs, but it's just a way. Again, I'm always at the philosophy, let every segment somehow benefit everybody if possible.
Oh yeah.
Not everybody can't win all the time. Not everybody can be a champion all the time. Not everybody can be on the top of the card at all times. But there are I think really good booking, really good wrestling booking is letting every segment advance everybody in some capacity.
I thought R-Truth, huge spring in his step coming out last night with Carmella by his side, doing his, I guess it was still What's Up, right? But there were some new lyrics. He was adding to it.
Yeah, he added new lyrics and Line of the Night by Corey Graves saying, R-Truth's been asking everybody what's up for 10 years and he still hasn't got an answer.
Awesome. But yeah, spring in his step, the little moves he was doing in between moves last night when he was doing the dance moves in the ring. I thought he looked great.
And I know the answer to this. How old do you think R-Truth is?
Oh, this is a tough call. I'm gonna say 49 years old.
Oh, not quite. I think he's 46, and I was impressed. I looked that up last night because I was like, man, again, for the way he moves and again the longevity of how long he's been around, it
looks fantastic.
Yeah, impressive stuff.
Absolutely. And just to be moving like that, I thought it was really good. Man, I love him being a part of SmackDown Live. SmackDown Live is already a great show, but look, compared to what they did on Raw last time with R-Truth and Goldust and that whole feud that went nowhere after the partnership dissolved, I mean, this is night and day difference.
Yeah, think how many tag teams Truth had named after him. He's had the Golden Truth. He's had the Awesome Truth. There's a couple more I'm missing in his his run of constantly having Truth attached to everything. Yeah,
and now he's Ty Dillinger. We should give a shout out to last night in his supporting role as R-Truth's only friend backstage.
I'm trying to think what that pairing could be.
The Perfect Truth.
There you go. Yeah, the Perfect Truth. There you go.
Dillinger has new merch he's wearing. I don't think they've sold it yet. Are they ever going to do anything with him?
Well, I'm sure they will. It goes back to what I just said. Not everybody can, not everybody can be at the top of the card at the same time. And I think it's a case of SmackDown's only a 2-hour show, which is what makes it so good, as we discuss at length every week usually. and so, I mean, there's gonna be weeks where guys are left off or guys don't have something, and you need these guys around to be established enough on TV just to be able to fill out a house show card. I'm sure it'll come around. I'm sure it'll that opportunity will come back around for Ty. Whatever the reason being that he hasn't been pushed more aggressively. I'm sure a chance will come back around. He's a young guy. He looks good. Got a gimmick that people like to. Wrestling karaoke is one of the biggest things. If people can sing along with it or talk along with it, it goes a long way. So I'm sure the train will come back around for him.
So speaking of wrestling karaoke, let me ask you this. You're an event promoter. You do things. Why is wrestling karaoke not a thing during WrestleMania weekend or pay-per-view weekends at a bar somewhere? And I'll go a step further. Why is there not a wrestling themes cover band that just does a show at WrestleMania and SummerSlam weekend every year? I think both these things would be packed. Well,
I can't answer the cover band thing. I can tell you that I've been involved with events and I've been at other bars that if they know it's a WWE occupied weekend, like a SummerSlam or a Mania in that city, that they have DJs that specifically do wrestling themes. And I've seen people get up and mimic the entrance or even grab the mic and try to, especially Triple H's The Game and some other ones, sing the lyrics. So I mean, I've seen it. It's been done, and now it hasn't become like, it hasn't become like I guess the fad that you might want it to be. But maybe let's call Raj up and let's get a Wrestling Inc. Themed wrestling karaoke show set up for New York next year.
I think it should be. I mean, don't you feel like, especially WrestleMania weekend? Okay, look, after Mania, maybe I get you're just tired. You're just, ready to pass out. But no, you get these nights when you're in this city, you go to a hot pay-per-view, you go to something like a takeover. You go to even the Raw after Mania, and then you don't just want to go back to your hotel room and crash at that point. Yeah, you can go out to a bar, but I think keeping the party going, giving you something else to do that's wrestling themed like that would be fantastic.
My SummerSlam pre-party I did this past year and did the last couple years in Brooklyn. We always had a DJ there, usually the same DJ, and he'd always do wrestling music, and we'd sometimes have that as both at full volume and then sometimes as low music bed as we're doing Q&A. And I can remember in Atlanta, I think I don't know if it was after Mania or if it was just the weekend of Mania 27 in Atlanta, a whole bunch of very entertaining guys from England came walking in the bar, and they were all in unison singing Zack Ryder's theme song, "Oh Radio." And this is like before Zack, really, I think this is before before his reality show, or not reality show, his YouTube show really blew up. So it was kind of like even more random that they were singing a Zack Ryder theme song, and it was kind of even more depressing that I knew what they were singing. But the karaoke's everywhere,
and that should be the key, right? So when we have the Wrestling Inc. after party with the karaoke, we should get some wrestlers to show up and go up there and do their own theme. It'd be great.
The better karaoke would actually be, sticking with wrestling karaoke, the better would actually be taking previous theme songs. And what I mean by this is so Dolph Ziggler's current song right now is "I'm Here to Show the World." Come on.
Oh, yeah.
He used to have a song, it was like "I Am Perfection." And I know this because I have it somehow on my iPod and of 3,000 songs. So when I'm driving, it sometimes will randomly come up out of the 3,000 songs. And if you stop, listen to how ridiculous some of these, go to some of the theme songs they've done away with. Learn the lyrics to that and sing that, and I will crown you karaoke champion. That should be part of, like, if there's a if there's a tournament that we're going to do, first round's obviously easy, ones that we all could, we all know the words to. And then as it gets to the championship rounds, we need to go back into the archives of some real discarded WWE themes. And if you can pull that one off, then we're writing the rules right here on the podcast for anybody who wants to sign up for this next year in New York.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the key is, you start off a little simple and then you get obscure, but then you get some stuff where it goes a little deeper. Like, I want somebody to get to the second verse of Sexy Boy and just be like, this is really the lyrics to the song.
I want somebody who can do K-Quick's Getting Rowdy, since we're talking about R-Truth, or who can, everybody knows the start of John Cena's song for like the first 45 seconds when he's making his entrance. Who can get to like the 2-minute mark of John Cena's song and know some of the verses? These are the things that we need to find in people
that know the trademarks part, just have the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's a long theme song. Like, it's really different than now. Now they just come up with a 40-second loop and just keep, actually not even like a 20-second loop and keep it going. But yeah, wrestling karaoke, man. I think
and wait, and we got to get, so like we can all be involved, but we have to get because he's no longer with the WWE. We got to get Jim Johnson and have him be the special guest host. Tell
That'd be
Raj,
good.
tell Raj to open up the checkbook, and we're gonna get Jim Johnson.
I think Jim Johnson should do a concert. I think he should get together a band. He's the one that should do it. But doesn't he have social anxiety? He doesn't like performing. And I'm completely might be getting that wrong, but I seem to recall there was something about him not performing.
I think you're actually onto something. Because I know he performed in the DX band. I think at Mania 14, and I think I have read something that where he maybe we are making this up, but I feel like you are on something. Maybe he was nervous about doing that. Like he was excited to be a part of WrestleMania, but he wasn't nervous of doing that. But we'd have to look into that. Nonetheless, we'll make it work.
Yeah, not that it's a bad thing if he does. Completely understandable. Some people do not like to perform. Yeah, I think Jim Johnston, man, CFO. Although CFO, I mean, it'd be like going to a Daft Punk show. It's just two guys with turntables.
Well,
computers.
They're under contract, but I know people that definitely have Jim Johnson's number. I emailed with him when he was with WWE under his WWE email a couple times a few years ago. But if we track his number down, if Raj can name the price, we can make it happen.
So I scoffed at this when somebody 15 years ago came to me back when I was in the video game business and was like, what do you think we're going to get guys like Tommy Talrico and some of these other video game music guys, and we're going to do this thing Video Games Live. And it's going to be a big concert multimedia presentation. It'll be symphonic. We'll have all the stuff doing video game music. I was like, who in their right mind, what kind of fanboy nerd would pay money for that? And they sold out their tour.
Yeah.
People that just want to go hear The Legend of Zelda played by an orchestra.
Look, if the Young Bucks and Cody can say they're going to do 10,000 for an independent wrestling show and not with WWE, and they can do it, we can go all in and do wrestling karaoke, and we can make this work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a big karaoke or just a concert. I think Jim Johnston, one night only, and if it works, then you take it on tour. I think people, I would pay to see that. I would pay to go out there. You get a hot band together, you recreate his iconic theme music, and then maybe that's like maybe you do karaoke as a segment of that. Where then, have you ever done karaoke with a live band before?
Yeah, once at a piano bar. I was pretty drunk, I think.
Yeah, I mean, but that's way more exciting than going up there and just doing it.
Sure.
To a backing track. I think there's something there. We should look into this for WrestleMania.
But if we do the full band, that becomes more tactical logistics. Maybe Jim Johnson Unplugged. Think of how big the Unplugged series were in the 90s MTV. Jim Johnson Unplugged. He can strip the songs down and then
tell the story.
Tell the stories about yes.
No, I'm with you. I would pay to see that, and I think I'm not the only one that would.
I should call Raj right now on the air and just. I don't know. Is he watching? What is he doing? I want to know what he thinks of this.
Raj should be like, this is what you guys talk about on Wednesdays? This is what happens?
I don't know. I think I should call him. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's at in the world, but I really want to. I tell you what. Let's get our pitch together, and next Wednesday we call him.
Absolutely. And I've promoted events and shows before. I mean, you have as well, so we know the logistics of this. It's not that hard. So speaking of which, of WrestleMania and the Hall of Fame specifically, which yes, Jim Johnson absolutely should go in. There was some development on the Cyndi Lauper front where Sami Zayn, my spirit animal, said in a tweet that he just realized Cyndi Lauper wasn't in the Hall of Fame. What's up with that? Other people responded, I think Lance Storm with, I heard she turned it down. And Cyndi Lauper responded with, I did. I don't remember that. So the story keeps developing. Maybe Mania 35 in New York is the time and the place.
Well, that would make perfect sense considering she was involved in Mania 1, right? And Mania 1 was in New York. So, perfect. Even though they're not going to probably do anything with the Garden, not only because of the competing company with the Garden, but also they just don't do any TV related to the Garden anymore because it's so expensive. But still, they're in New York. That's all that counts. I think that makes perfect sense.
Especially if we have Charlotte and Ronda headlining.
Oh, but the girls just want to have fun.
Please don't make that the theme of WrestleMania 35.
It's going to happen. I'm going to tell you this. If that's it right there. Girls just want to have fun. That's it.
Have you ever listened to She Bop? I mean, that's a pretty rocking song. There's some other good Cyndi Lauper cuts.
I can honestly say I have no deep track knowledge of Cyndi Lauper.
If you go back the album She's So Unusual and you look at I think it's something like the first 6 tracks on it were all singles.
Really? Yeah. I'm more of a, if we're talking 80s, I'm more of an AC/DC kind of guy, but
I understand. Girls Just Want to Have Fun, also a song written by a man originally, about how he had so many girls and they just want to have fun. And that's why he's staying out all night. And that's why his parents are giving him a hard time.
I think you told me this before, and I'm still stunned by this fact.
Yeah. She changed the lyrics and turned into a feminist empowerment anthem.
With Captain Lou Albano.
With Captain Lou Albano. Goonies was on this weekend. Tweeted at Raj a little bit.
I've seen it. I feel like since all this conversation of the Goonies, I feel like I've seen it on my channel guide literally every day, and I've yet to watch it.
It is a surprisingly strong film if you like childhood adventure films. I really dug it as a kid. Still dig it now. What else we got in the world of wrestling? We talked about Mixed Match Challenge Season 2. We gave that a little plug there. Talked about Hell in a Cell and the Super Showdown. Things are going, man. Okay, so let's have this as our last topic we discuss for this podcast. What do you think about the challenges right now that the WWE is trying to promote and build? Hell in a Cell, Evolution, the Super Showdown in Australia, and then on top of that, Mixed Match Challenge, which we saw last night on SmackDown with Carmella and Truth. They're building that. So they've got this. After that, there's going to be, Survivor Series on the horizon. Do you think this is too much storytelling wise, and stories are going to suffer even more under this heavy load?
Well, I definitely think it provides a challenge. Now, I think you can look at this. I think there's a pro and a con to it. I think the pros is you're looking at essentially, right, just what you listed, 3 very different shows. You're looking at Hell in a Cell, which is part of which is just in the normal macabre of scheduling. Okay, it's the pay-per-view we have every 4 weeks, and we've had it every year. So you have that's kind of the next stopping point for most of your current storylines. So that's good for some crop of talent. And then you have the Super Show in Australia, which is this big novelty show. So then you get to throw in, hey, it's a reason to have the Undertaker on a holiday Raw, and Shawn Michaels, not to be left out. So good in that way. And then of course you have obviously an all women show. So it's good in the one sense that it's 3 different identities of a show. So it can allow you to use more of your roster. But yeah, then it becomes okay, like then it becomes I think it becomes a priority issue of what you're telling, what makes sense. What it starts to be a trickle down effect of how you prioritize things, and that can be dangerous. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because I'm not, but I'm just pointing out, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate. I mean, look at how much time on Monday Night Raw this past week specifically WWE is giving to this Undertaker Triple H thing, between the video packages, between the in-ring segment. So you can make a case of, okay, all that time added up to X, could a fraction of it be better used to push something that's coming up at Hell in a Cell? So that there's always going to be that con. It's always going to be the priority of what should be there, what sells. But this isn't going to get any better, because WWE is only going to continue doing these. They're basically like, as we would say in the independent wrestling world, they're basically paid shows. They're exactly what Global Force Wrestling Jeff Jarrett did. It does. It's you find a venue and a buyer who's going to give you a flat guarantee rate, and you can take your flat guarantee rate to take care of yourself, and then you tell them to go make money off it. It's exactly what the Saudi Arabia deal was. The Saudi Arabia paying huge money, and it's going to only continue for the next decade. And as we were talking about, event planning and promoting, speaking from that experience, it's hard to turn away from that. It's hard to turn away from a flat guarantee fee and get to go expand your brand, or have your brand do an appearance in this part of the world that they aren't regularly in. So, it's not going to get any better. We're only going to continue having this, and that's that.
What are you hearing about Evolution ticket sales?
Actually, the only thing I heard, it was actually not too long ago. Funny enough, I was talking to somebody at WWE. They're pleased. There's no panic or concern about the initial market for that and how it's going, especially considering that generally speaking, while they've said they're going to have all these, they haven't given us too many specific matches, so they're pretty happy that it's sold just on name and concept alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it does well. Not just because I have tickets to the event. I think that it's interesting how they're building it. Did you see they were talking about Molina versus Naomi on social media? They're building up these hypotheticals that they're not announcing to get people talking about it. But I think that's an interesting tactic for them to use. They did announce Lita versus Mickie James. I thought that was cool. But yeah, they're really parceling this out. I think they'll get much more in overdrive once we get past Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, there's so many different. So far, I'm not. The current versus the Legends thing is fun. It's a fun attraction, but it brings about so much debate, and rightfully so. Again, I would rather see Trish and Mickey. I'd rather see a throwback there, or then I know that people would rather see Trish and
Sasha.
Thank you. So I mean, there's going to be a grand debate of why didn't we do this, why didn't we do that. But again, if it's selling on concept and name alone, then maybe this isn't maybe this is one on the annual calendar, and this won't be the last time we have Trish against, maybe the Trish and Sasha could happen next year, so. Yeah,
we'll see, man. Justin, what do you want to plug before we take it home here?
Just add Justin LaBar on Twitter, home for everything. It's got all my links, Wrestling Rally podcast, Chair Shot reality video here on Wrestling Inc., and all of my wonderful thoughts.
Awesome. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. You can find me on Twitter at Glenn Rubenstein, and we'll be back here Monday night. Myself, Matt Morgan, Raj Giri to talk about Monday Night Raw. Justin and I will be back here next Wednesday. Until next time, folks, take care, and we'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast.